The ice groaned beneath Dr. Juniper Vale's boots as she made her way through the winding tunnel, her breath creating delicate frost patterns inside her helmet. The quantum resonance scanner in her gloved hands pulsed with an increasingly urgent rhythm, its holographic display showing energy signatures unlike anything she'd encountered in 15 years of xenoarchaeological research. "Control, are you getting these readings?" She adjusted her helmet cam to focus on the scanner's display. The signal was stronger here, nearly 8 kilometers beneath Europa's icy surface. "Confirmed, Doctor." Dr. Winston Reed's voice crackled through her comm. "The energy signature matches nothing in our database. Whatever you found, it's not human technology." Juniper pressed forward, her excitement barely contained. After 3 years of expeditions on Jupiter's moon, this could be the discovery that validated her controversial theories about advanced civilizations in the solar system's past. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber, its walls smooth and geometrical in a way that nature rarely achieved. "This is definitely artificial construction," she reported, sweeping her lights across the chamber. "The ice has been perfectly preserved, probably due to the depth and—" She trailed off as her beam caught something that made her breath catch. Rising from the chamber floor was a structure that defied conventional physics. Crystalline pillars twisted in impossible patterns, creating what appeared to be a frozen double helix that pulsed with internal light. At its center, suspended in a matrix of energy, floated a being that looked like it had been carved from living starlight. "Control, are you seeing this?" Juniper approached carefully, her scanner now emitting a continuous tone. The creature was roughly the size of a small horse, its body composed of translucent crystal that shifted between deep blues and radiant purples. What appeared to be fur made of fine crystalline filaments rippled along its form, though there was no air movement in the chamber. "Dr. Vale, we're losing your signal," Winston's voice came through with increasing static. "These energy readings are off the charts, you need to pull back." But Juniper couldn't look away. The creature's form reminded her of Earth's extinct megafauna, something between a wolf and a big cat, but with proportions that spoke of alien evolution. As she drew closer, its eyes opened, revealing pools of swirling light. "It's alive," she whispered, more to herself than to Control. "All these years we thought we were looking for ruins, but they left guardians." The creature's eyes fixed on her, and Juniper felt a presence brush against her mind. Warning klaxons blared in her suit as energy levels spiked around her. The crystalline being rose, its form unfolding with liquid grace. According to all her briefings, she should be running. Ancient security systems were programmed to eliminate intruders, and she was definitely intruding. Instead, she stood her ground, somehow certain that running would be the wrong choice. The creature approached, each step leaving traces of luminescent energy that faded slowly into the ice. It stopped just before her, its head level with her chest, and she felt that mental touch again, stronger now, curious rather than hostile. "Hello," she said softly, fighting the urge to step back as it leaned closer to her faceplate. "I'm not here to harm anything. I'm a scientist, a researcher. I just want to understand." The chamber's lights pulsed in rhythm with her words, and she realized the creature was somehow interfacing with the entire structure. Its crystalline fur rippled with waves of color, and suddenly Juniper's mind filled with images and sensations that weren't her own. Vast networks of energy flowing through Europa's subsurface ocean, complex systems maintaining delicate balances, and beings of light shepherding powers that humans had barely begun to comprehend. "Control," she managed, her voice shaking slightly. "I don't think this is just a security system, it's part of something much bigger." She reached out slowly, drawn by an impulse she couldn't explain. "I think it's trying to show me." Her gloved hand touched the creature's crystalline form and the world exploded into light. Energy coursed through her suit systems, but instead of frying them as she'd feared, it seemed to be upgrading them, integrating with them. The creature, she now knew it was called a luminar, had recognized something in her genetic structure, something that resonated with its own crystalline matrix. Warning sirens blared from the tunnel entrance. "Dr. Vale," Winston's voice cut through the haze of connection, "we've got multiple corporate security teams incoming. Horizon Corporation must have detected the energy spike. You need to evacuate immediately." The Luminar's head snapped toward the tunnel, its form tensing. Juniper received a clear impression of danger not from the creature, but from what would happen if the corporate teams reached this chamber. The ancient systems weren't meant for exploitation, and attempting to harness them incorrectly could destabilize Europa's entire fragile ecosystem. "Can you help me?" she asked the Luminar directly, knowing somehow that it would understand. "We can't let them access this place, not until we understand it properly." The creature's response came in another flood of images: other chambers, hidden passages through Europa's ice, and safe paths to the surface. But more than that, it conveyed a choice: she could flee alone or accept a deeper connection, becoming something her ancestors might have been in ages past when the resonance still walked the solar system. Boots echoed in the tunnel, growing closer. Juniper Vale made her choice. "Control, I'm going offline," she said quickly. "Don't try to track me, I'll contact you when I can." She turned to the Luminar, her heart racing with fear and excitement. "Show me the way." The creature bowed its head, touching its crystal horn to her suit's chest piece. Light flared between them, and Juniper felt her understanding of reality shift fundamentally as ancient knowledge began flowing into her mind. Together, they turned toward a previously invisible passage in the chamber's wall, leaving behind the approaching sound of corporate forces. The hunt was about to begin, but hunter and prey were not what they seemed. As they moved through Europa's hidden ways, Juniper realized this was just the beginning of a much larger awakening, one that would change not just her life but potentially the fate of two civilizations. Director Regina Blackheart stood at the viewport of Horizon Corporation's Europa Command Center, watching ice storms race across the moon's surface. The latest report from the security team lay displayed on her neural feed: no sign of Dr. Vale or the crystalline entity she'd encountered. Both had vanished into Europa's labyrinthine subsurface tunnels 12 hours ago. "Pull up the energy signature tracking again," she ordered. The holographic display shifted, showing a web of mysterious power fluctuations throughout the moon's crust. Each pulse matched the frequency they'd detected in the chamber, but trying to pinpoint any single source was like grasping at smoke. Director, her aide, Trevor Nash, entered the command center. "Dr. Cassidy has finished analyzing the data from Vale's last transmission. You'll want to see this." In the research lab, Dr. Olivia Cassidy was hunched over a quantum interface terminal, her dark eyes reflecting scrolling lines of data. The physicist's reputation for brilliance was matched only by her dedication to corporate interests, which made her perfect for Horizon's more sensitive projects. "The entity Dr. Vale encountered," Cassidy began without preamble, "it's not just a security system, it's part of a vast network that extends throughout Europa's subsurface ocean. Look at these power readings." She gestured and a new hologram bloomed between them. "The energy output is astronomical, but it's not being generated, it's being managed, regulated." "Regulated for what purpose?" Blackheart asked, though she was already seeing the implications. If they could harness even a fraction of that power. "That's where it gets interesting." Cassidy pulled up Vale's final scanner readings. "These patterns, they're maintaining something: the ice sheets, the ocean chemistry, even Europa's orbital mechanics, it's all being actively stabilized. Whoever built this system, they turned the entire moon into a massive life support machine." "Life support for what?" "That's the question, isn't it?" Cassidy's expression was troubled. "But here's what concerns me: these systems are incredibly delicate. If we try to tap into them without understanding the full picture, we could destabilize the entire moon." Blackheart's neural feed pinged with a priority alert. "Security teams found something. Continue your analysis, Doctor. I want options on my desk within 24 hours." In another section of Europa's under-ice tunnels, Dr. Juniper Vale and the Luminar paused at an intersection of crystalline passages. The connection between them had deepened over the past hours, allowing more efficient communication. The creature, which she'd started thinking of as Echo due to the way it resonated with the ice, had been sharing fragments of knowledge about the ancient systems. "So the resonance," she subvocalized, knowing Echo would understand. "They didn't build this place for themselves, did they? They were preserving something." Echo's response came in a series of impressions. vast oceans teeming with simple but crucial life forms, delicate biological processes that had taken billions of years to develop, and the devastating effects that Jupiter's radiation would have had without the protective systems the resonance created. They were gardeners, Juniper realized, custodians protecting the evolution of life itself. She felt Echo's approval of her understanding, followed by a warning sensation: someone was approaching. They pressed themselves against a wall of ice as voices echoed through the tunnels. But these weren't corporate security forces. The speakers sounded equally wary of discovery. "The readings lead this way," a woman's voice said softly, "if we're right about the network's purpose." "We need to find Vale first," a male voice responded, "before Horizon realizes what they're really dealing with." Juniper felt Echo's curiosity mixing with her own. The Luminar sensed no hostile intent from the newcomers. Carefully, they peered around the corner. Two figures stood examining a portable quantum scanner. The woman wore the distinctive environment suit of Europa's Independent Research Coalition, while the man's outfit marked him as station maintenance crew. Both had modified their gear to avoid corporate detection systems. "Hello," Juniper called softly, stepping into view with Echo at her side. The pair spun, reaching for weapons, then freezing at the sight of the Luminar. "Dr. Vale," the woman recovered first, lowering her hand. "I'm Dr. Zara Patel from the Independent Research Coalition. This is Raj Kumar, our infrastructure specialist. We've been trying to find you since you went dark." "How did you know where to look?" "Because we've been studying the network for months," Raj explained. "Just from a distance, we knew about the Guardians, but we've never seen one up close, never dreamed they might actually bond with a human." Echo moved forward, examining the newcomers with glowing eyes. Juniper felt its assessment. They knew far more than they were saying, but their intentions aligned with protecting the system. "You should know," Zara said urgently, "Horizon's not just looking to study this place. They're desperate. Earth's quantum reactors are failing faster than anyone's admitted publicly. They see this network as a potential energy source regardless of the consequences." "It would be catastrophic," Juniper replied. "The network doesn't generate power, it maintains crucial biological and physical processes throughout Europa. Disrupting it would." She trailed off as Echo suddenly tensed, its crystalline fur blazing with alarm. Through their connection, Juniper saw what had triggered its response. Security teams were activating some kind of radiation pulse system, hoping to trace the network's energy signatures. "They're going to flood the tunnels with quantum tracers," Raj said, checking his instruments. "We need to move, now." "Wait," Juniper held up a hand, receiving a rapid series of images from Echo. "There's somewhere we need to go first. Echo's showing me some kind of central chamber, a place where we might find proof of what this system really is, proof that even Horizon couldn't ignore." "The Nexus," Zara breathed. "We've seen references to it in the data patterns but could never locate it." Echo's mental touch carried urgency now. The security team's actions weren't just dangerous to them. The trace radiation could interfere with the network's delicate functions. They needed to reach the Nexus before Horizon's ignorance caused irreparable damage. "Lead the way," Juniper told Echo. As they moved deeper into Europa's depths, she felt the weight of centuries pressing down on them. The resonance had created this system to protect and nurture life itself, and now its fate rested in their hands. Behind them, the tunnels began to pulse with artificial radiation, and the race to save Europa's hidden purpose truly began. The Nexus chamber took Juniper's breath away. Unlike the industrial corridors of Horizon's facilities or even the ancient tunnels they'd traversed, this space felt alive. Crystalline structures spiraled from floor to ceiling, each one pulsing with its own inner light, creating a symphony of color that reflected off the chamber's polished ice walls. Echo wasn't the only Luminar present. 3 other crystal guardians emerged from alcoves around the chamber, their forms similar to Echo's but each uniquely different. One had spiraling horns that reminded Juniper of a gazelle, another bore patterns like flowing water across its crystalline hide, and the third seemed to shimmer between visibility and transparency. Incredible, Zara whispered, her scientific detachment forgotten in the face of such beauty. The patterns they're creating, it's like watching the northern lights but with purpose. Raj's instruments were going haywire. The energy readings here, they're orders of magnitude beyond anything we detected in the tunnels. This has to be some kind of control center. Through her deepening connection with Echo, Juniper began to understand what they were seeing. It's not just a control center, it's a nexus point where multiple systems converge. Look, she pointed to where the crystal structures met the chamber's center. Those aren't just decorative, they're conducting energy between Europa's core and its surface ice. A new presence entered Juniper's mind, or rather, 3 new presences. The other Luminars were connecting with her through Echo, sharing their knowledge. Images and information flooded her consciousness, vast networks of energy flowing through Europa's subsurface ocean, complex chemical processes being carefully maintained, and countless forms of microscopic life flourishing in protected pockets throughout the moon's liquid interior. The resonance, she gasped, overwhelmed by the scope of what she was witnessing. They didn't just build this system and leave, they transformed themselves. The Luminars, they're not guardians created by the resonance. They are the resonance, evolved into a form that could maintain their work eternally. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared from Raj's equipment. Multiple teams converging on our location, Horizons found us. The chamber's crystalline structures pulsed with warning light. Through the Luminars' shared connection, Juniper felt the approach of the security teams, their radiation tracers disrupting delicate energy patterns throughout the network. But worse than that. Dr. Cassidy's with them, Zara reported, checking a small drone feed. She's carrying some kind of quantum siphon device. They're not just here to study the network, they're going to try to tap into it directly. The 4 Luminars moved in perfect synchronization, taking positions around the chamber's central confluence. Echo shared their purpose with Juniper. They could temporarily shut down this section of the network, protect it from interference, but doing so would leave other crucial systems vulnerable. Wait, Juniper said, an idea forming. What if we show them, not just tell them, but make them understand what this place really is? Through Echo, she felt the other Luminar's curiosity. The one with flowing patterns, she found herself thinking of it as River, approached her. Its crystalline horn touched her helmet, and suddenly she understood exactly what needed to be done. Raj, she called out urgently, I need you to modify your scanner's quantum field generator. Zara, help me adjust my suit's power distribution. We're going to create a resonance loop. As security teams began cutting through the chamber's outer doors, they worked frantically to implement Juniper's plan. The Luminars moved in complex patterns, building energy in the chamber's crystal matrices. Juniper felt the power growing, guided by ancient wisdom passed down through countless ages. The doors burst open. Dr. Cassidy entered first, her quantum siphon humming ominously. Behind her, Director Blackheart strode in with a full security team, their weapons trained on the chamber's occupants. Dr. Vale, Blackheart called out, her voice cold. Step away from the entities. This is now a corporate resource acquisition operation. You don't understand what you're dealing with, Juniper replied, making final adjustments to her suit's systems, but you're about to. She nodded to Echo. All 4 Luminars touched their horns to the crystal matrices simultaneously. Energy surged through the modified scanner, through Juniper's suit, and into the chamber's resonance network. The air itself seemed to crystallize. Everyone in the chamber found their consciousness expanded, connected briefly to the vast network that was Europa's true purpose. They felt the delicate balance of countless systems, the carefully maintained conditions that allowed life to flourish in the moon's hidden oceans. More than that, they experienced the patience and dedication of the resonance, who had sacrificed their original forms to become eternal custodians of this grand experiment in life's evolution. When the resonance faded, Dr. Cassidy was the first to speak. Director, she said, her voice shaking, we can't tap this network. It would be like draining Earth's oceans to power a single city. The damage would be irreversible. Blackheart stood frozen, her expression conflicted as she processed what she'd witnessed. The board won't accept this. Earth needs. Earth needs to solve its own problems, Juniper interrupted, not destroy another world's chance at life. The resonance created this system to protect evolution itself. We have no right to interfere with that mission. The chamber's crystals pulsed with renewed energy as the luminars re-established disrupted connections throughout Europa. Through their shared link, Juniper felt Echo's satisfaction mixed with concern. They had shown the truth, but would it be enough? Director, Zara stepped forward. What if there was another way? The luminars didn't just create this system, they understood energy manipulation at a level we've barely imagined. If we study their methods rather than trying to steal their power, we could revolutionize our own energy systems, Cassidy finished, her scientific curiosity overtaking her corporate loyalty. Director, think about it. We're looking at technology that's eons ahead of our quantum reactors. If we could learn from it, adapt it. Blackheart held up a hand, silencing them. Her gaze moved from the luminars to the crystal matrices, then finally to Juniper. You've made your point, Doctor, but this isn't over. The board will need more than a mystical light show to abandon this resource. Then let us prove it to them, Juniper offered. Scientifically, no exploitation, no interference with the network, just observation and learning. Through Echo, she felt the other luminars' approval of this approach. They had chosen to reveal themselves, after all. Perhaps it was time for their knowledge to guide humanity toward a less destructive path. As tension slowly bled from the chamber, Juniper realized this was just the beginning. They had won a temporary reprieve, but the real challenge lay ahead, proving to a desperate Earth that some powers were better left in the hands of their ancient guardians. The Horizon Corporation boardroom on Earth hummed with tension. Holographic displays showed Europa's surface, riddled with quantum energy signatures that pulsed like a living heartbeat. Director Blackheart's report had arrived hours ago, along with Dr. Cassidy's preliminary findings, throwing the board into chaos. This is unacceptable, Chairman Victor Zhao declared, his weathered face twisted with frustration. 3 major arcologies lost power last week. Singapore is running on backup systems. We needed that energy source. With respect, Chairman, the holographic projection of Dr. Cassidy interrupted. Attempting to tap Europa's network would trigger a cascade failure. The entire moon would destabilize within weeks. Then we do it carefully, board member Amani Morris countered. Extract power gradually. Surely these beings can adapt their system. In the observation gallery above, Professor Han Wei-Chen of the Earth Sciences Coalition watched the debate with growing concern. As humanity's foremost expert on sustainable energy, he understood better than anyone the desperate situation Earth faced. But he also recognized the broader implications of what they'd discovered on Europa. The board is missing the point entirely, he muttered to his colleague, Dr. Rohan Kapoor. They're so focused on immediate gains they can't see the revolutionary potential of this technology. Back on Europa, in a makeshift laboratory near the Nexus chamber, Juniper worked with Echo and the other luminars to document their system's intricacies. The resonance they'd shared had opened new channels of understanding, allowing her to grasp concepts that had previously seemed impossible. The way they manipulate quantum fields is incredible, she explained to Zara, who was helping compile their findings. It's not about generating power, it's about perfect efficiency. Nothing is wasted, nothing is lost. Every interaction serves multiple purposes. Like a living system, Raj added, monitoring energy flows through his modified equipment. Everything's connected, everything's in balance. Their work was interrupted by an urgent call from Dr. Cassidy. Dr. Vale, the board is voting within the hour. They're considering implementing a controlled extraction plan. They don't understand or don't want to understand what that would mean. Through her connection with Echo, Juniper felt a deep sadness. The Luminar shared images of similar scenarios playing out across countless worlds, civilizations destroying themselves and their environments in the pursuit of quick solutions. There has to be another way, Juniper insisted. Echo, show me again how the system processes energy. The Luminar complied, leading her deeper into the network's principles. As understanding dawned, Juniper's excitement grew. Dr. Cassidy, are you still connected to the board meeting? Yes, but get Professor Wei Chen in there. I need someone who'll understand what I'm about to explain. Within minutes, they had established a complex holographic link between Europa and Earth. Juniper stood surrounded by the four luminars, their crystalline forms gleaming as they channeled energy through the chamber's matrices. Distinguished members of the board, she began, you're right that Earth needs solutions. But what we've discovered here isn't just a power source, it's a complete paradigm shift in how we understand energy itself. Using the Luminar's assistance, she projected a detailed visualization of their energy manipulation principles. Professor Wei Chen's eyes widened as he grasped the implications. This is revolutionary, he breathed. The way they're manipulating quantum fields. With this understanding, we could redesign our entire energy infrastructure, not just power generation, but storage, distribution, everything. Precisely, Juniper continued. The resonance didn't build massive power plants. They created systems that work in perfect harmony with natural processes. We can learn from their example, adapt their principles to solve Earth's energy crisis without destroying Europa's delicate balance. Chairman Zhao leaned forward. How long would this take? Earth's needs are immediate. The basic principles could be implemented within months, Professor Wei Chen replied, already running calculations. With these insights, we could increase our current system's efficiency by orders of magnitude. Long-term applications could completely revolutionize how we approach energy production. Through Echo, Juniper felt a new possibility emerging. The Luminar stepped forward, touching its horn to the holographic projection interface. Suddenly, the boardroom was filled with crystalline light as Echo shared a direct vision, a future where human technology evolved to work in harmony with natural systems, guided by the ancient wisdom of the resonance. But with that vision came a choice. The Luminars could share their knowledge, teach humanity to build truly sustainable energy systems. However, this would require trust on both sides. The network had to remain untouched, protected, allowing Europa's hidden life to continue its slow evolution toward complexity. Director Blackheart, who had remained silent throughout the presentation, finally spoke. The board needs to understand this isn't just about energy. We're being offered a chance to learn from beings who have maintained a complex ecosystem for millions of years. The scientific and technological applications extend far beyond power generation. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth could have its solution, but not in the way they'd originally hoped. Instead of a quick fix, they were being offered something far more valuable, the knowledge to solve their problems permanently, sustainably, without destroying another world's future. Chairman Zhao looked around the boardroom, reading the shifting expressions of his colleagues. We need to vote. Do we proceed with the extraction plan or do we accept this alternative proposal? As the board members prepared to make their decision, Juniper felt Echo's resonance harmonizing with the other luminars. Whatever humanity chose, the Guardians would continue their ancient mission. The only question was whether humanity would learn from their wisdom or repeat the mistakes that the resonance had witnessed on countless other worlds. The fate of two very different forms of evolution hung in the balance as the board members raised their hands to vote. 6 months after the Horizon Corporation Board's vote, Juniper stood in the newly constructed Resonance Research Center on Europa's surface. Through the reinforced windows, she could see the moon's ice plains stretching to the horizon, their surface painted with Jupiter's reflected light. Behind her, Echo's crystalline form pulsed with gentle luminescence as they watched Professor Wei Chen's latest presentation. The implementation of resonant energy principles has exceeded our most optimistic projections, Wei Chen announced to the assembled team of international scientists. Holographic displays showed power grid statistics from major cities on Earth. Singapore's new quantum resonance network is operating at 98% efficiency. Tokyo and Lagos are scheduled to transition next month. Dr. Cassidy, who had chosen to remain on Europa as the project's lead researcher, pulled up additional data. More importantly, we're seeing unprecedented stability in the adapted systems. No burnouts, no failures, just clean, sustainable energy distribution. The vote had been close. Chairman Zhao's deciding vote in favor of learning from the luminars rather than exploiting them had sparked controversy, leading to several board members' resignations. But the results were undeniable. Earth was finding its way back from the brink of an energy crisis, guided by wisdom millions of years in the making. Through her deepened connection with Echo, Juniper felt a subtle shift in the chamber's energy. The other three luminars emerged from their alcoves, moving to form a circle. Something unprecedented was about to happen. "Everyone," she called out softly, "I think our teachers have something to show us." The four luminars touched their crystalline horns together, creating a resonance that filled the chamber with harmonious light. Through their shared connection, Juniper felt them preparing to reveal something they had kept hidden until humanity proved itself worthy of the knowledge. Images filled everyone's minds, vast networks of similar systems scattered throughout the galaxy, all working in concert. Europa wasn't an isolated project, it was part of something far greater. The resonance hadn't just been cultivating life here, they were part of an ancient coalition of species, all dedicated to shepherding the evolution of consciousness itself. "It's a network," Professor Wei Chen breathed, understanding dawning on his face. "Not just of energy, but of civilizations, each learning, growing, and eventually joining the greater community." Echo confirmed his insight, sharing deeper understanding. The resonance had evolved beyond their original forms not out of necessity, but as part of a natural progression. By learning to work in perfect harmony with the fundamental forces of the universe, they had transformed themselves into beings of pure energy and consciousness. The luminars were living proof that technology and nature could evolve together, achieving things neither could accomplish alone. "They're offering us a choice," Juniper translated for those without a direct connection. "We can continue learning from their example, eventually joining this greater community. But we have to prove we're ready, not just technologically but ethically. We have to demonstrate that we can be trusted with this kind of knowledge." Dr. Cassidy stepped forward, her eyes shining with possibility. "The energy systems were just the beginning, weren't they? Everything we've learned about quantum field manipulation, about harmony with natural processes, it's all leading somewhere bigger." The luminars' resonance intensified and new information flowed into their consciousness. It wasn't just about energy or technology. The principles they'd been learning had applications in medicine, environmental restoration, space travel. Every field of human endeavor could be transformed by this deeper understanding of universal harmony. "It's an invitation," Raj realized, looking at the data streaming across his monitors. "They're inviting us to evolve." Through Echo, Juniper felt the truth of his words. The resonance had recognized something in humanity, a potential for growth, for transformation. Despite our mistakes and destructive tendencies, they saw the possibility that we could learn, could change, could become something greater than we had been. Director Blackheart, who had fought to protect the project through months of corporate politics, smiled for perhaps the first time since Juniper had met her. "Well, Dr. Vale, it seems your discovery was even more significant than we imagined. The board will be interested in these developments." "The board's priorities may need to adjust," Professor Wei Chen replied diplomatically. "This goes beyond corporate interests now. We're looking at the next step in human evolution." The luminars concluded their resonance, the chamber's light returning to normal. But something had changed. Everyone present could feel it, a shift in perspective, a glimpse of what humanity could become if we chose the right path. Echo touched its horn gently to Juniper's hand, sharing one final insight. The resonance hadn't just been waiting for humanity to discover them. They had been waiting for us to discover ourselves, to realize our own potential for transformation and growth. As the team began discussing implications and next steps, Juniper gazed out at Europa's icy surface. Somewhere deep below, countless microscopic organisms continued their slow evolution, protected by systems of unimaginable complexity and beauty. But now those systems had a new purpose, not just preserving life, but teaching humanity how to become its stewards rather than its exploiters. "We have so much to learn," she whispered to Echo, feeling its warm agreement through their bond. The Luminar's crystalline form shimmered with anticipation of the journey ahead. The ancient guardians had maintained their vigil for millions of years, watching civilizations rise and fall across the galaxy. Now, finally, they had found partners ready to share in their great work, not just maintaining the delicate dance of life, but helping it grow, evolve, and reach for the stars. As Jupiter's light painted the ice in shades of amber and gold, Juniper felt the resonance of possibility humming through the chamber. The real work was just beginning, but for the first time in human history, we weren't facing the future alone. We had teachers, guides, and friends who had walked this path before. The Guardian's song would continue, and now humanity would add its own voice to the eternal chorus of evolution.